over and over again. I just don't talk to him that much anymore.
Right.
But it was really raised by my mother. And, growing up, life didn't get easier. Part of my testimony is looking at her example. And life didn't get easier that day that she decided to make that decision to pack up three young men in the back
Right.
seat and to go to church. Like that's where we were going. And I didn't understand at the time, like what was so important about this place that she was going to? Why did she really want to get here? And she found a community and she gave her life to God. And then we moved down to St. Joe area where she went back for education at a university where I'm now teaching, actually called Andrews University. And so it's really crazy how that all worked out. But my mother taught me something, Jody, and this is really important. I say this in the book that just because it's not ideal, it doesn't mean that it's not possible.
Mm.
It was not ideal, after that. Finances were tighter. My mother picked up three jobs, going back to school with three young men, living in government housing, all of these things because she was literally going off of what she thought life could be.
Wow.
And we weren't in that. And so her decision to go back to school, and today she's a superintendent over entire school systems because of that one choice. And so
Wow.
I didn't appreciate that because that's the first part of my testimony. I didn't appreciate that for so many years. I just didn't understand it. And now that I'm a parent and understanding what parents go through, having three children, I'm like, that was a really difficult decision for a really young mother to make. She left all of her family support and came down. And so to downstate. So after she got her first teaching job, a little more backstory here so you can understand. I met Christ. This is where I met Christ for myself. It was my sophomore year of high school several years ago. And I actually got expelled from my Christian school where my mother was teaching because I made the choice to smoke pot in the boys' locker room of that little church school where my mother was so one of the elementary teachers. And I was just a mess. I had a lot of dad issues at the time. I had a brother with cancer at the time. And I was lost. I was in this atmosphere of God and all this stuff, but I didn't know what that meant for myself. I
Right.
was in so much distress and looking for a role model and tools to navigate my life. And so I was just trying to fit in with my buddy. I think he was going through some stuff and made a poor choice. But here's the thing. When I was sitting at home expelled from that church school, we were living in campus housing at the time, and my mother was teaching there. And I was watching my class play out in the field just in front of my house. I fell to my knees, and it was for the first time. And it wasn't because I had a Bible test or because we had a week of prayer or because I was taken to church or anything like that. It was because I felt like I was at the end of my rope in life at being this 15-year-old kid expelled, wish my dad was here. And
Right.
I cried on that floor. I can visualize it in my mind. And I opened my Bible and I started looking up the word Father for the first time on
Wow.
my own, saying, God, I need you right now to be my father. Like I'm lost. I mean, even talking about it still makes me emotional because it's changed the trajectory
Yeah.
of my whole
Yeah.
life. And so,
Praise God.
yeah, and that was the moment where I met God, like for myself. And I felt the presence of God surround me and
Mhm.
just as this young, broken teenage boy who just thought that there was no hope. And then I started to have these experiences with Christ, and I made a lot of mistakes in between, but Christ became part of those mistakes. In other words, his grace kept pulling me out of it in a different way this time.
Right.
And so he has given me a life that I could never have had. It's
Mm.
truly God. And so I'll share one more part with you, unless you have any questions you want to ask right now.
Please.
Yeah. So
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
Okay.
I was going to say really quick. s- one of the things that I see, especially in a men's ministry like we have,
Mm-hmm.
um, that